Robin Williams was leaving a film set in San Francisco at 11 p.m. when he saw a homeless man sitting outside a closed restaurant. What Robin did in the next 30 minutes wasn't captured by paparazzi, wasn't posted on social media, and wasn't meant to be a story. But the restaurant owner who watched it happen through his security camera called it the most extraordinary act of kindness I've ever witnessed. It was a cold February night in 1998. Robin had been filming a scene for Patch Adams in the Presidio district of San Francisco. The shoot had run late, and they'd finally called wrap at 10:45 p.m. Robin was exhausted. 14-hour days were normal during production, but this one had been particularly draining. He'd been doing emotional scenes, the kind that required him to access deep feelings over and over again. His driver was waiting, but Robin decided to walk. He often did this after long shooting days. The walk helped him decompress, helped him transition back to being himself. He was walking down Chestnut Street, hands in his pockets, baseball cap pulled low, just another person on the San Francisco sidewalks at night. Most people didn't recognize him when he dressed down. That's when he saw Marcus. Marcus Daniels was sitting outside Mama's restaurant, a popular breakfast spot that had closed hours earlier. He was bundled in layers of mismatched clothing, a sleeping bag pulled up to his chest, a cardboard sign propped against the restaurant window that read, "Homeless Veteran. Anything helps. God bless."
Robin had walked past countless homeless people in his life. San Francisco had a significant homeless population, and it was impossible to help everyone. Most people developed a kind of defensive numbness to it. But something about Marcus made Robin stop. Maybe it was the homeless veteran detail on the sign. Or maybe it was just that Robin happened to make eye contact with Marcus, and something in that exchange felt significant. Whatever the reason, Robin stopped walking. "Evening," Robin said, his voice deliberately normal. Marcus looked up, cautious. "Evening? You a veteran?" Robin asked, nodding at the sign. "Marine Corps. 2 tours in Desert Storm."
Robin nodded. He'd spent years doing USO tours, performing for troops overseas. He had deep respect for veterans and deep anger at how poorly the system often treated them when they came home. "You eaten today?" Robin asked. Marcus hesitated. The truth was complicated. He'd eaten, but not well. "I'm okay," he said, which was his standard answer. Robin recognized the deflection immediately. He'd used similar ones himself. "There's a diner about 3 blocks that way," Robin said, pointing. "Still open. You want to get something to eat? My treat." Marcus looked at Robin more carefully now, trying to figure out the angle. In his experience, when strangers offered help, there was usually a catch. "Why?" Marcus asked bluntly. Robin appreciated the directness. "Because I'm hungry, I don't like eating alone, and you look like you might have some interesting stories. No agenda, just food and conversation."
There was something about the way this stranger spoke, a gentleness that didn't feel condescending, that made Marcus trust the offer. "Okay," Marcus said, starting to gather his belongings. "Leave your stuff," Robin said. "We're coming back here. Just dinner." They walked 3 blocks to an all-night diner called Grub Steak. It was the kind of place that served breakfast 24 hours a day and didn't care what you looked like. The waitress seated them at a booth in the back and handed them menus. Marcus couldn't remember the last time he'd sat in a restaurant. It had been 4 years earlier, before everything fell apart, before the PTSD got too severe to hold down a job, before the drinking started, before his wife left, before he lost the apartment, the car, everything. "Order whatever you want," Robin said. "Seriously, I'm getting the French toast and probably eating way too much bacon." Marcus ordered carefully. Eggs, toast, hash browns. Substantial, but not expensive. He was still trying not to take advantage. Robin ordered, then did something unexpected. He took off his baseball cap and looked directly at Marcus. Marcus's eyes widened. He recognized Robin now. "You're—" Marcus started. "Just a guy having dinner," Robin said gently.
That okay with you?" Marcus nodded slowly. They talked while waiting for the food. Robin asked questions, real questions, about Marcus's service, about what brought him to San Francisco, about his life before homelessness. Marcus found himself answering honestly. There was something about Robin's attention, the way he really listened, that made it feel safe to talk. Marcus told him about the nightmares from Desert Storm, about coming home and not being able to adjust, about the jobs he'd lost because he couldn't control his anxiety, about his marriage ending, about the slow slide from apartment to car to street. Robin listened without judgment, without pity, without the uncomfortable shifting that most people did when confronted with stories of homelessness. When the food came, they ate. Robin told some stories too, about his own struggles with addiction, about understanding what it felt like when life became unmanageable. The thing people don't understand about hitting bottom, Robin said, is that it's not about being weak. You do all the things you're supposed to do, and somehow the math still doesn't add up. And then people act like it's your fault that the equation failed. Marcus felt tears in his eyes. Nobody had articulated it quite like that before, but it was exactly right. After dinner, they walked back to Mama's restaurant, where Marcus's belongings were still tucked against the building. Robin expected to say goodnight and head to his hotel. But when they got back, Robin didn't leave. Instead, he sat down on the sidewalk next to Marcus. "Can I ask you something?" Robin said. "Sure. If you could fix your situation, not fantasy stuff, but actually fix it, what would you need?" Marcus had thought about this question 1,000 times, always concluding it was impossible. But sitting here with someone who seemed genuinely interested, he answered honestly. "A place to stay while I get back on my feet, some decent clothes for job interviews, help with the VA stuff. The paperwork is insane. Maybe someone to just believe I'm capable of getting back to normal." Robin pulled out his phone. At 11:30 at night, he started making calls. The first call was to a friend who ran a residential hotel in the Tenderloin. Robin explained the situation and said he'd cover 3 months' rent up front. The second call was to his accountant, asking about navigating VA benefits and getting appointments with counselors. The third call was to a staffing agency that specialized in placing veterans in jobs. Marcus watched all of this happening, barely able to process it. This famous actor was sitting on a sidewalk at midnight, making phone calls, taking notes, building a support structure for a homeless stranger. "Okay," Robin said after the calls. "Here's the plan. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., we're meeting James at the Drake Hotel. He's got a room for you. I'm covering 3 months. At 11 a.m., we're meeting Sarah from the staffing agency. At 2 p.m., we've got a VA appointment with a counselor who can actually navigate the system." Marcus was crying now. "Why are you doing this?" he asked. Robin was quiet for a moment. "Because someone did it for me once. Different circumstances, but same thing. Someone saw me when I'd given up, and they stopped. They said, 'This is fixable.' It changed everything. So now when I can, I try to do the same." Then Robin pulled out his wallet and handed Marcus $800 bills. "This is for tonight and tomorrow. Get a hotel room somewhere safe. Get some rest. Tomorrow we start the actual work." Marcus looked at the money. It was more cash than he'd seen in years.
"I don't know what to say," Marcus whispered. "Don't say anything. Just show up tomorrow at 9 a.m. Room's under Marcus Daniels. James will be expecting you." Robin stood up and started to walk away. Then he turned back. "Marcus, you're not broken. You're just stuck. And tomorrow, we're going to start getting you unstuck, okay?" Marcus nodded, unable to speak. Robin walked away into the San Francisco night, hands in his pockets, just another person on the sidewalk. What Marcus didn't know was that across the street, inside Mama's restaurant, the owner had stayed late doing paperwork.
He'd watched the entire interaction through the window and on his security camera. The restaurant owner, Tony Chen, later told a reporter, "I've owned this restaurant for 20 years. I've never seen anything like what Robin Williams did that night. He didn't just give money. He gave time, attention, planning, and follow-through. He treated that homeless man with the same respect you'd show anyone. That's the extraordinary part." Marcus Daniels did show up at the Drake Hotel the next morning. He did meet with the staffing agency. He did get help navigating his VA benefits. And within 6 weeks, he had a job as a maintenance supervisor at a property management company. 3 months after that night, Marcus had his own apartment, a steady paycheck, and regular therapy sessions through the VA. He'd reconnected with his adult daughter. He'd started rebuilding a life. Marcus tried multiple times to contact Robin to say thank you, but Robin's team was protective, and the messages never got through directly. Finally, Marcus wrote a letter. He sent it to Robin's agent. In the letter, Marcus explained everything that had happened since that February night. "You told me I wasn't broken, just stuck," Marcus wrote. "You were right. I was stuck in a situation I couldn't solve alone. You gave me the tools and the belief that I could fix my life, and I did. You saved my life that night, and I'm not wasting this second chance." Robin's assistant later confirmed that Robin had received the letter and had been deeply moved by it. But Robin never spoke about it publicly. He never told the story in interviews. He never used it as an example of his own goodness.
The story only became known after Robin's death in 2014, when Marcus wrote about it publicly, wanting the world to know about this side of Robin Williams. "Everyone knew Robin Williams the comedian," Marcus wrote, "but I knew Robin Williams the human being, who sat on a sidewalk with a homeless stranger and made phone calls at midnight because he couldn't walk away from someone in need. That's the Robin Williams I want people to remember." Tony Chen added his own tribute. "That night taught me something. Real kindness isn't about grand gestures or publicity. It's about seeing another human being in distress and being unable to walk past. Robin couldn't walk past Marcus. That's who he was." The total amount Robin spent helping Marcus, the hotel, the rent, the cash, the clothes for interviews, the support over the following months, was estimated at around $12,000. For Robin, that wasn't a fortune, but for Marcus, it was the difference between dying on the street and rebuilding a life. More important than the money was the message. You're not broken. You're just stuck, and being stuck isn't permanent. That message, delivered with genuine belief and backed up with concrete action, gave Marcus back his dignity and his hope.
Marcus Daniels still lives in San Francisco today. He's been steadily employed for over 20 years. He's a grandfather now. He volunteers at a homeless services organization, trying to do for others what Robin did for him. Every February, on the anniversary of that night, Marcus goes back to that spot outside Mama's restaurant. He brings food from grub steak, French toast and bacon, what Robin ordered, and he shares it with whoever is sitting there homeless that night. And he tells them the same thing Robin told him. You're not broken. You're just stuck, and I'm going to help you get unstuck. That's Robin Williams' real legacy. Not the movies or the comedy, but the individual lives he changed when nobody was watching, when there were no cameras, when the only reward was knowing he'd helped another human being. Robin saw a homeless veteran on a sidewalk and couldn't walk past. So he stopped, sat down, and spent the next several months making sure that man got back on his feet. No publicity, no social media posts, no credit sought. Just one human being helping another because it was the right thing to do. The security camera footage that Tony Chen watched that night shows us who Robin Williams really was when the world wasn't watching.
A man who couldn't walk past suffering. A man who gave not just money, but time and belief. A man who understood that sometimes all someone needs is for one person to see them as human again. Marcus wasn't broken. He was just stuck. And Robin Williams couldn't rest until he'd helped him get unstuck. That's the extraordinary act of kindness witnessed that night. Not just generosity,
but genuine human connection and follow-through that changed a life forever. Robin Williams left that sidewalk at midnight, and Marcus Daniels left it the next morning with a future. That's the power of one person deciding that another person's life matters enough to stop, to listen, to plan, and to act. The world knew Robin Williams as a genius comedian and actor. Marcus Daniels knew him as the stranger who sat on a cold sidewalk and refused to accept that another human being was unfixable. Both versions were true, but the second one, the one nobody was supposed to see, might be the most important one of all.